All right, this is Rob Lay with 1980 Sports Cards, and we're going to do about one of the craziest things ever in this episode. One of the riskiest things, but it will be fun. What I have here is a 1985 sealed Topps Tiffany set. And you can see here the seal on the box. This is, of course, the blue year. Every year the Tiffany sets, they had a color. 1985 is blue, and they made 5,000 of these sets. These didn't come in wax packs or anything. They're based on the regular 1985 Topps set, but there was only 5,000 of these sets that were sold. Estimates for the regular 1985 Topps set are 500,000 to 1 million per card. So that tells you how rare these are. And also, value-wise, a lot of these cards have really, really, really low gem rates. So they can be very valuable if you got a PSA 10. Like the McGwire, for example, sells for over $17,000 just for that one card. Roger Clemens is a 5-digit card as well, $11,000. And then there's several like the Puckett, the Dwight Gooden, etc., that are over $5,000. But those are near impossible because of the low gem rate. The PSA 9s, none of them are 4-digit cards, but they can still be worth $500, $600, $700. So the crazy thing we're doing, and I almost feel bad about doing this, just because this is a beautiful set, a rare set, and it's sealed, to actually break it apart and get the individual cards. But I don't know, there's 5,000 of them, so it's not like it's, the only set in existence. And when they're sealed up like this, you can't enjoy the cards. So I guess one way to look at it is we're going to break the cards, we're going to get them protected and graded, and then we're going to actually be able to enjoy them. So follow along in this series as we, actually I'm going to compress it all into one video. I'm going to break this set. We're going to take an eyeball look at them, see what the cards look like, and then I'm going to send them off for grading, and then at the end of the video, we'll do the grade reveals and do an estimate on the costs. So just to give you an idea, I bought this set for $3,300. There's about 40 cards I'll consider sending in for grading, depending on how I pre-grade them. But so if I send in all 40 cards, the PSA cost would be about $800 to $1,000. So overall, we're looking at a cost of over $4,000. I did some quick math. You can look here at the spreadsheet I put together. So I did some quick math based on the gem rates and the amount of cards that come in at every PSA level, what their value is, and I did the math, and the number I came up with was $4,900. So if the grading we get from the cards follows the same distribution and the current values, we'll be looking at about $4,900. So it's cutting the profit pretty close. If we got back all PSA 9s, it would be worth $4,000, so we would just lose a few hundred. If they came back all PSA 8s, then we'd only get back $1,600 in value, so we would lose more than half our money. So for this to really work out, we need to hit some gems. We need to get some PSA 10s. So we're not going to know that until the cards get graded and returned, and at the end of the video, we'll reveal those and our final profit numbers. So let's get started opening up. Oh, this is painful to break the seal, but it's got to be done. It's a pretty good seal, at least. There we go. So that was a little harder than I expected, but says a lot about the tamper-proof seal. So let's open these up, and I have no idea what to expect. I've never opened up a 85 Tiffany before. So they are not sealed. there's no further packaging. They're just in there dry. And then I also don't know if they're in numerical order. So we're just going to have to start going through it. Let me get an idea if they're in numerical order or not. So they are not in numerical order. So we're just going to have to go through each card one by one. Here we go. Our first big card, Dwight Gooden, and that's very well centered. That's a good looking card. So the Dwight Gooden in a PSA 10 can go $2,500. And even over $100 in a PSA 9. So that might be a good one to grade. There we go. The McGwire. Famous McGwire, potentially the most pricey card in here at $17,000. The centering is not perfect, but it's not bad. That's a pretty card. More than the centering, I'm noticing the alignment's not quite perfect. But I think it's the centering is more than 55-45 off. But that's still a great card. Here we go, Roger Clemens. Man, and that's a pretty card. Very pretty. All right, and that's it for the initial set break. That was a lot of fun. Generally, these cards are a lot better condition than the 85 Topps coming out of wax boxes. And I love the Tiffany shiny finish. But I can see why they're tough to gem rate. There's a lot of off-centering and a lot of surface condition issues and a lot of edge issues. So put that all together and you got a low gem rate. So we'll next move to the next sort before I send to PSA. All right, here's my pre-sort before grading. Put the comments back in the box. So the first pile is because of value or the condition, the pre-grade. I'm just gonna keep them raw. Second pile, cards, I'm gonna send in for the regular grading, which will take 2 to 3 months based on value and the condition. And this third pile here are the valuable cards that are looking pretty good. The Roger Clemens and Dwight Gooden especially. The McGwire is a little bit more off, but that's the most valuable card in here. So I'm gonna send these in. I'm gonna experiment. PSA has a special now for a 5-day service and they provide notes. So I'm gonna use it as kind of an education to send these in for the 5-day and get notes on them to see what they're seeing. And that will, I'm basically paying for my education. So, all right, stay tuned. The next thing you'll see is when we get them back from PSA. Hey, this is Rob Lay, 1980 Sports Cards, and we have the first PSA return from our 1985 Topps Tiffany set break. So I broke the set and kind of pre-graded them. The top cards I thought were good enough to grade, so I sent them for, I think it was a 5-day service that included grader notes. Part of the reason for getting the grader notes was to kind of educate myself and see how well I'm pre-grading. But these were just the top cards, the Dwight Gooden, the McGwire, and the Roger Clemens. If I remember right, the Dwight Gooden and Roger Clemens seemed really well centered and really good condition. The McGwire, not so much, kind of off center. But my hopes for this, I mean, obviously a PSA 10 is a 5-digit card, but there's so few of those, I don't realistically expect those, even though the cards look really good. Maybe on the Clemens and the maybe on the Clemens and the Gooden, they were good enough. If you got lucky with PSA maybe a 50% chance at a PSA 9, which would be great. I really expect, I don't know, as hard as PSA's been grading lately, I kind of expect, you know, to get 8s on the McGwire and on the Gooden and the Clemens, and maybe a 7 or 8 on the McGwire. I'll kind of be disappointed with anything less than an 8, or if we don't get at least 1 8 with the cards. But lately, PSA's just been handing out disappointments. So we'll see, though. Here we go. And all the other cards from the set, there's more cards I'm getting graded, but I'm not doing the rush service. So I'll go ahead and submit those and then update everybody when those come in, probably in 3 to 4 months. All right, so let's look at the Dwight Gooden first. You know, this could be a high 4-digit card. If in a PSA 10, PSA 9s are only going for about 200 lately here in the Tiffany. So let's see what we got. Hey, PSA 9. I'm actually happy about this. If this got a PSA 9, maybe we got some good grades on the others as well. So I'm happy with a 9. Big difference between the 9 and a 10. That'd go from $200 to $7,000 or $8,000 or more. But a PSA 10 in this card, there's only a population of 4. But there's only a population of 130 in this one, so not bad. All right, on to the McGwire, which I consider kind of the least or worst card in the bunch, even though it could potentially have the highest value. It was just way off center, so I don't expect more than a 7 in this. Yay, PSA 8. I'm thrilled with that. So what do we have on a PSA 8? This is over a $300 card, so it pays for the rush grading at least. I don't know. Depends how the other cards grade in 4 months. If I can break even on the entire Tiffany set, which cost me about $3,200. But a PSA 8 on this one's good. You can see how the centering is off. So let's be hopeful for the Roger Clemens. If I remember right, the Roger Clemens was pretty good. And man, it could be a big difference between the 8 and the 9. An 8's going to be about $200, a 9, $500. Went with the 8. So I thought maybe this one could go towards the 9 since the Gooden did. You can see how there's just perfect centering. So I'm not sure what else they saw, but I'll also update you on the grader notes, how those came out. All right, so not bad. 2 8s and a 9. You know, that considered, I'm pretty happy. No 7s. All right, thanks.